Good morning.
Good morning.
I was thinking of starting a new series today, and the idea is to learn about tefillah, and specifically Be'er Tefillah, explaining some of the tefillahs in the Siddur. Today we're going to give some background, and we'll start with this week's parsha. In this week's parsha we find a lot of tefillah. Firstly, we find it was Parsha Shlach. Firstly, in the beginning of the parsha, we find with Yeshua that Moshe Rabbeinu, early in the parsha, says to him, "Vayikra Moshe l'Hoshea ben Nun Yeshua." Moshe called Hoshea ben Nun, Hoshea without a yud. He called him Yeshua with the yud. So Moshe effectively added a yud to Yeshua's name and changed it from Hoshea to Yeshua. So Rashi explains, Vayikra Moshe l'Hoshea v'gomer nispalo alav kol Yoshiacha me'atzis meraglim. Moshe was mispalel for Yeshua on his behalf. And why did he need Moshe to be mispalel for him? Because he was in a danger of falling prey to the eitzah of the meraglim, to the intentions of what the meraglim didn't want to see the good in Eretz Yisrael. They were looking for. He could have fallen into being one of the Matziei Dibas Haaretz. The Meraglim brought about this bad report and to lower the desire of the Jewish people that they shouldn't want to go to Eretz Yisrael. So when Moshe saw that Yeshua didn't want that, but Yeshua could fall into it together with the others, so he was mispalel for him. Kol Yoshiacha, Hashem should save you me'atzis meraglim. That's Rashi quotes from Chazal, Gemara Sota, Medrash Tanchuma. Okay. Later in the parasha we find Kalev was also one of the meraglim. By Kalev it says, Vayalu v'negev, the spies, they came up in the south of Eretz Yisrael, called Eretz Canaan here in this parasha. Vayavai ad Chevron, they came to Chevron. Now, the lashon in the beginning of the pasuk is plural, and then it switches to singular. Vayalu, it says in the beginning, Vayalu, lashon rabim, vanegev, and then singular Vayavai, not Vayavou. So why does the pasuk switch? That's the question. Why does the pasuk switch from the plural to the singular? At first, all of the spies are coming, and then it sounds like one of them came to Chevron. Vayavoy ad Chevron. So Rashi says that actually only one of the spies came to Chevron, and that was Kalev. Kalev levadoi halach sham. Kalev alone went to Chevron, which is the place where the Avos are buried in Ma'aras Machpelah. V'nishtatach al kivrei Avos, and he prostrated himself. He laid down in tefillah by the kivrei Avos, by the tombs of the forefathers. That he shouldn't fall into he shouldn't fall into being convinced by being seduced by the spies that they should pull him in, schlep him in to their plot. And this is what he wanted. But he saw that he was in danger, so he was bringing through tefillah by the makam of the kivrei avos that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should give him a siyata d'shmaya, that he shouldn't fall into he shouldn't listen to them, to succumb to join them. We find that Kalev was rewarded alone, that he was going to be given this land, the land that he himself tread, which, where is that? It says later was Chevron. So we put all the pieces together that the one spy that came here was Kalev, because he's the one who was rewarded with this area that he had tread upon singularly. And if we find only one of the spies came to this place, it makes sense that was Kalev. What was he doing there? So Chazal fill in the dots for us. Kalev was going there to be mispalel by the kivrei avos, in order they shouldn't join in with the atzis meraglim. So this was something that Kalev wanted. Kalev and and he saw that he himself couldn't do it on his own. He needed heavenly divine assistance, and that's what he was coming to be mispal for, and that's what we find by Khalid. Later in the parsha, may we find the classic tefillah that we know Moshe Rabbeinu was mispal for Klal Yisrael. Famous words. Pasuk says, Pasuk Yud Ches. Okay, so I'm just starting in the middle of the tefillah of Moshe Rabbeinu, but this is the most famous part of it. It's actually a number of psukim before that the Kadosh Baruch Hu said that he's not happy with his people. They don't have emunah in me. So Hashem said to Moshe Rabbeinu, I'll wipe out the Jewish people and I'll make you into a big and great nation. And Moshe said different reasons why Hashem couldn't do that. One reason, and it's in his tefillah, one argument that he used in the beginning was that it's going to be a chil Hashem. It's going to be, it's not for the sake of Klal Yisrael, it's for the sake of you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that they're going to say, the Mitzrayim, who saw that you had such might, and the nations saw that you took the Jewish people out of Mitzrayim, but then like you got stuck midway. Like it was a big job, you were able to start it, but you weren't able to finish the job of getting the Jewish people through the Midbar and into conquering the land of Canaan. So you like stopped midway and ended them over there because you couldn't have wiped it, you couldn't have finished off the Canaanim. So he built the Goyim would say, Chas v'shalom, he built the Yechilas Hashem lahavi yasam hazeh el haaretz. Kadosh Baruch Hu couldn't do it. Shenishbar lahem hayishchatem b'midbar. So now that brings us to the next part, which is a tefillah that Moshe Rabbeinu is mispalel that the midas of Kadosh Baruch Hu should call it rise up or come forth. Now I have to say that this is tefillah in general, especially the Yud Gimel Midas Arachamim, is much deeper than the levels that I have penetrated to. But so who knows if what I'm saying is correct? But I'm not trying to give away any secrets or the essence of what's going on here. Just what it seems like on the surface.
Wasn't it the whole purpose of this discussion? Because if Kodesh Baruch Hu felt that he had to destroy the nation, did he have to consult Moshe? No. I think the reason why I think what this whole episode happened is to give Moshe the opportunity
to be mispalel
for what's needed, and therefore set up precedent for what's going to happen down the line.
Very good. His Chazal say this, I believe it's in Maseches Brachos, that is exactly what you're saying, that Moshe Rabbeinu picked up on this nuance, that if Hashem is telling me this information, He's telling it to me for a reason. It's by the Ched HaEgel, I believe it is, I don't think it's in these psukim, a similar idea that Hashem said to him, Heref mimeni v'ashmideh, let go of me. So was Moshe holding on? Like holding back God from doing it? HaKadosh Baruch Hu was letting him know that you have the ability to stop me. So that was through tefillah. And similarly here, you're saying that same idea. Hashem is revealing it to him because He wants him to be mispalel. HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Avraham Avinu what He's going to do to Sodom, to give Avraham Avinu an opportunity to be mispalel. So
you're saying that, just for a very simple guy like me, you're just saying Kodesh Baruch Hu is setting us up so that we have to pray. Like he's giving you, I'm giving you all these problems, so you'll pray that I can solve the problem for you.
Right, or even if it's not our own problem, but what we see around us, that's something that needs a solution, that we could be mispalel. Yeah, we could be mispalel to help. Rabbi Victor Miller makes a point that actually we could exercise our bechira in a much greater way when we're mispalel than otherwise, because we're very limited in our abilities, in our physical abilities, in the sphere and the realm that we operate. We have a limited influence, but on a physical level. But so we have a limited amount of resources, of money, or of influence amongst people, or of tools that we can use to change a situation, to improve a situation. But when it comes to tefillah, we can affect areas that we can't touch, and in that way we can get credit and help bring about the solution through our tefillahs in a way that we couldn't have otherwise been participated. So, for example, being mispalo for the binyan Beis Hamikdash, there might be, in a physical level we could do mitzvahs, but on a physical level we can't build the Beis Hamikdash right now. But we could be mispalo that Kadosh Baruch Hu should bring back the binyan Beis Hamikdash. I'll just quote this for you. So he says, in the realm of actual deeds, we are limited by circumstances. We're not wealthy enough to feed all the needy and heal all the sick, or to erect enough Torah institutions and to maintain them. Not everyone has that money, or no one has it. But in the realm of tefillah, we are not limited. We can ask Hashem's help and entreat Him for everyone. We thus activate our free will and demonstrate our desire to help all the poor and rescue all the afflicted. In other words, our bechira we can put into place to show that we want the right thing. What we desire, what is correct to desire. We can't show that we want it through deed because we can't necessarily do anything about it, but we could show that we want it through our tefillahs. Whatever we cannot achieve, indeed, a person can achieve in sincere desire to do so. Thus he can practice free will in praying for Mashiach, for the rebuilding of Yerushalayim, for the gathering from the exiles, for the restoration of the judges of old, which these are all brachas in Shemona Esrei, and for the return of the Shekhinah to Klal Yisrael. Okay, I'll stop there. The quotes of Chazal in brachas, that if a person thought to do a mitzvah but was forced and could not do it, he didn't have the capabilities to do it in the end, it's not considered that he doesn't get any credit. It's considered for him as if he had done it. Chashav Adam, or Chishav Adam lasses mitzvah, v'nenas v'asa malal of a kasav kilo asa. So, in terms of tefillah, a person through our tefillahs could get that schar. So I'll go upon him. Getting back to Moshe Rabbeinu, the third example of tefillah that I found in our parsha. Moshe Rabbeinu says the Yud Gimel Midas Rachamim, Hashem only says it once in the pasuk here. Erech Apayim, Rav Chesed, Nesi Avan Vafesha, V'nake, Lo Yinake, V'ger Avan Avais Alpanim, Ashileshim Aribeim, and then he says, Slachna, forgive, Avoina Amazeh, Kigoydach Azdecha, like the greatness of your kindness, Chasher Nasas Olam Azeh. And he says, Hashem, the same way that you carried Klal Yisrael in your merit this whole way until now, Mitzrayim Vadheina, continue going. Vayomer Hashem Salachti Kidvarecha. And Hashem said He forgave. Okay, and then the psukim go on, but because Baruch Hu listened, we see the power and the effectiveness of the tefillah of Moshe Rabbeinu. Because Baruch Hu responded, Salachti Kidvarecha. Okay. One more example that I wanted to bring was from last week's parsha, perhaps the shortest tefillah ever. Moshe Rabbeinu was mispalel in the end of the parsha for his sister Miriam. Vayitzak Moshe cried out, El Hashem Lemar, Kel na, Rifana la. Kel na, Kadosh Baruch Hu, powerful one. Na, please, Rifana, please heal her. Rifanala, 5 words. Kilna, Rifanala. Rashi says that it actually could have been shorter. You could have, why do you need 5 words? You could have 3 words. Rifanala, or Rifala, heal her. So Rashi says, the Torah is coming to teach you here, L'lamedcha derech eretz, she'ashol davar mechaveroi, one who asks from a favor from his friend, He's asking for something to have mercy. To say 2 or 3 words of entreaty, of bringing about a rachamim, and then you ask for what you need. So that's why he prefaced it with the praise of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, kel, of the strength of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and no, and then asking a lashon tachanunim. Okay. Like I said, the words kel and the words no, and with the significance, or the words that Moshe Rabbeinu used, is much deeper than what I understand, but I'm just translating on the surface level. Okay, so, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu listened to his tefillah, and they reached, HaKadosh Baruch Hu reached a plan of how to get Miriam back with the Jewish people again after 7 days of solitary confinement. Okay, so the idea is that perhaps in these parashiyos we see a concentration of the idea of tefillah, and I wanted to focus on our own concentration in tefillah, perhaps through the coming weeks, and especially in light of what we saw a couple weeks ago, or maybe it was even last Sunday. I guess it was a couple weeks ago. We learned about the karbanos of the Nesiim. It was last Sunday. No, 2 weeks ago. Okay, 2 weeks ago. The karbanos of the Nesiim. We found by the Nesiim that the kavana of the Nesiim, the intentions that they put into their karbanos, made all the difference in the world of the essence of each one's karban was considered totally different from the other one, because each one had his unique intentions and he invested it with the meanings that he thought of. Now, of course, they were on a very great level, but at the same time, we see that what a person does on a physical level, especially in tefillah, the words that we say, as much as they have an intrinsic power, to the extent that a person has kavanah in those words, it takes a whole different meaning, a whole different essence of the thing is totally changed by the kavanahs that a person has. I was talking about this before Kabbalah Satara, before Shavuos. We had Shavuos this week, and I was just thinking it would be so nice if on Shavuos our Kabbalah Satara could be something that we could deepen, something on a practical level, a performance to improve on the performance of some mitzvah, of something that we do. And the way to do it would be if we could understand it better, if we could know more about it, and not only we could do it, we could be mekayim halachos better, but our appreciation and our understanding of what we're doing could be totally different, and then the whole mitzvah could be different, and that could be some way of taking Kabbalah Sotorah l'maisa, that we could take it and we could put it into practice if we pick some mitzvah. And so I was thinking that the tefillah, Avodah Shebelev, this mitzvah of tefillah, we could take and maybe learn about it, look into it a little bit more, and then we could have this kavanah. I think that the kavanah, really, part of what we struggle with is just concentration in general, right? And training ourselves to concentrate and put everything else out of our minds. But also, there is an element which I hope that I can help with here and we can all work on together, is having fresh understanding and thought in the tefillah itself. If there's no thought in the tefillah, so then it's very hard to keep our minds from wandering to the ends of the world and the ends of the universe. But if our minds are absorbed in our tefillah, if we have a depth of understanding, of appreciation, we know what it is that we're doing, and we know that when we come to a specific bracha or specific tefillah, we know this is the bracha or the tefillah that focuses on this, and this is the general meaning of it, and now when I focus on the words, I could even get a better understanding of it, and I could focus on trying to think about this main idea here, then our mind is now able to focus much better on the and much better on the tefillah because we know what it's about, and memela the machshavos could be easier for us to hold on to the tefillahs and our mind not wander. So of course we're still going to have to follow the advice of Chazal to try to clear our minds before we start davening. But with that clear mind, hopefully this will help us hold on for a longer time. I have to admit, there's a Rav Kaplan, Rabbi Avi Kaplan. So he wrote a book on meditation, maybe more than one book about meditation, and I tried to read it to help myself with focusing on tefillah, and I got pretty far in the book, and I think that's a very important exercise that if we're capable of learning how to focus on something, that's a very important exercise. But I think that this is just as important. This idea of having what to focus on and knowing the meaning of the tefillahs, that you have what to focus on. It's not just about clearing your mind to focus on certain mantra that you'll say it over and over again, but it has more meaning, and the more meaning that you get to, then your mind is occupied with the tefillah, and your heart is occupied with the tefillah, and then memela, it will be easier for us to have this meditation of focus, of not wandering off into other things. Okay. So that's the aspect that we're going to try to focus on more. Now, today I'm not going to go into specific tefillahs, but some of what the purpose of tefillah is, and I'm just starting off on this journey, just like you are. Okay, together we'll go through this journey together.
And where are we supposed to end up?
We're supposed to end up in enhanced tefillah, and there's an expression in the Gemara in Masechtas Yevamos, Mayim she'ein lahem sof. There's a water that has no end to it, and unfortunately we've become painfully aware of this in recent times with this plane that's fallen off of the map that they don't know where it is because the ocean is so big. Mayim she'ein lahem sof. They can't find with search teams, and I don't think they found it yet. Have they found it yet? Not that I've heard. And so that's if in the physical world that we can see, in the finite world it is such that the depth and the expansiveness is so much, how much more so in the spiritual world. And I have a sefer, a few svarim which I hope to use, but hopefully over the time we could even have more svarim. One of the svarim is a sefer called Ha'aras HaTefillah. It could be Rabbi Noble maybe knows of this sefer, or knows of the Mechaber of Rav Uri Weisblum from Haifa, a Talmud, Mashgiach in the yeshiva in Haifa.
One of the most famous mashgiachim in Eretz Yisrael.
Ah, look at that. We have Haskama, one of the most famous mashgiachim in Eretz Yisrael. One of the most famous. Talmud of Rav Shlomo Wolbe, and it's worthwhile. It's a worthwhile endeavor to see what he has to say about tefillah. What do you say? He says it's worthwhile. Okay, so we're going to try to spend some time taking some ideas out from what he has to say about tefillah, and maybe doing a little bit of our own research. Rav Wolbe, in the beginning of the sefer, gives a short haskama, and he says something interesting, a historical fact. He says, "Haloi sidur atfila hu hasefer harishon beger Torah shebal peh sheyatza me'anshei knesses hagedola." It's the first sefer that we have of the oral Torah of Torah shebal peh that came from the Anshe Knesset Hagedola, that was written by Chazal. This was the first sefer. It was so much so the first sefer that it preceded the writing, the codifying of the Mishnayos by 700 years, he says. V'kodem l'Mishnah sheva mea shana, u'leTalmud 1000 shanim, and the Gemara 1,000 years. Kama tzrichim lahamik laharchiv ha'avana b'nusach hakadosh she'im kavu l'tfilaseinu. How much we have to try to work and to toil to understand what Chazal invested in these words, why they chose the words that they did, and the sequence that they did, and the beauty that lies within this. So, in a sense, the Siddur we're an exercise of Limud HaTorah. When we learn the Siddur, it's not just to be Mekayim, the mitzvah of Tefillah, to be mispal with better tefillah, but it's actually a limud HaTorah that we could put l'maisa, limud ha'manas l'kayim, that we could learn and we can learn not just about how to daven properly, but we can learn what it is that a yid is supposed to want, what it is that Kadosh Baruch Hu wants us to be mevakish, what a yid is supposed to desire in this world, and what we long for and ultimately are mispal for. Okay. He says, "Bevadai, b'dayreinu hayasem le'nagia la'emek kavanasam she'anshei knesset gedola." For sure, we're not going to plummet the depths in our generation of the depths of every word b'chol teva shebetfila, but nevertheless, we can tap into it. I just want to know the
first thing. What the first Siddur was? Was it Ashkenaz? Was it Sfarad? Was it let's get to the source.
That I don't know. But what I do know is
it wasn't English.
That if we follow our Messiah and our minhag, then we can be assured that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will be makabel that from us. Rabbi Chaim Volozhiner actually says that and I don't remember if we once spoke about this from the Beis Halevi, I believe we did bring this out from the Beis Halevi, that the koyach of the tefillah, the words that we say have there's a difference between words that we say on our own, which is very, very important throughout the day. Whenever we need or to think of Hashem, to remember to ask Him for help in whatever it is that we're going to do, or to praise HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to thank Him, that use our own words. And the difference, and there's a difference between that and using the words that we use in our Siddur and in our Shemona Esrei, what Chazal, what they set up, the Ruach HaKodesh. And the difference is that the words of Chazal have an innate power, like a sharp blade, very sharp blade that has the ability to slice through, let's say, the heavenly spheres to reach the Kisei HaKavod, even without the power that we propel it with. We just have to be mispalel with a purity of heart and simple understanding without such a deep understanding, and that deep power that they invested, we could tap into just by saying their words. We can access all of the great strengths that were invested in the tefillah through a simple pashut tefillah, through a simple kavanah, even without plummeting to the depths of what the Anshe Knesset Gedolah had. Okay, now the Rabbi Victor Miller has a sefer also explaining the Siddur called Halli Nafshi, Praise My Soul, and he focuses especially on being mispalel with shira, with an idea of singing the praises of HaKadosh Baruch Hu from our hearts and realizing the blessings that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us. Now it's all from Him. There's a very powerful book, sefer, that came out. I think of Kleinman, Praying with Fire, that was very widely circulated, and and I myself once had a seder in it to learn. It's a daily.
I think it was here,
It makes sense. Oh, what, that he came here?
I believe it was here a few years ago, wasn't it, Michael?
They may have even had in the shul.
No, we had the Kolan had a series on Shabbos morning. Tyler was no longer here. Ruvain.
Yeah, I know you're talking about Klauser.
That's right. So he gave a share 15 minutes before davening on Shabbos morning from his station.
Okay, very nice. So, but what I was going to say, a funny addendum to that is that there's a Yid in Eretz Yisrael, the Rosh Kolo, his name is escaping me right now, but wrote a number of useful svarim, and one of the svarim that he wrote after that Sefer came out, and was focusing on praying with fire. You know, the fire is with the intensity of the tefillah, is the fire of the crying out to Kodesh Baruch Hu with being turned on, not just asleep, right? But so this Sefer came out called Praying with Joy, and also a small Sefer, but there he focuses on the other aspect of the tefillah, of the simcha of the tefillah, putting in the simcha of praying with joy, and it really could be something that could be an exercise of joy, and realizing how blessed we are and how fortunate we are, and like we say in Modim D'Rabbanan, Al Sha'anachnu Modim Lach, that we're thanking you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for having the opportunity to thank you. Means that a person could reach a state of joy just for having the opportunity to be able to go ahead and to be mispalel. Okay, so Rabbi Victor Miller quotes Chovos HaLevavos, which I have here in front of me, and there's a small quote from the Chovos HaLevavos which pinpoints the fundamental key points of what it is that we are trying to achieve in our goal in tefillah. Basically, why do we daven? Why do we daven? What it is that we do? We daven. Okay. The question: where does the word daven come from? Maybe I once mentioned this. I don't know. There was an old yid, and could be he came from Montreal. I know he's a son who lives in Montreal. Rabbi Glustin. So he's Rosh Shiva. Okay, so his father, I believe it's his father, was at the end of his life came to live with another one of his children who lives in Eretz Yisrael. He was one of the Rosh Yeshiva in the Mir Yeshiva, and different Bachrim would learn with him. When he came, he had free time, he'd learn with him, and anyway, so he once told me that when he was younger, he really enjoyed focusing on the source of the where words come from, and the meaning behind the word. And one of the words that he was interested in was the word daven. Where does the word daven come from? Now the connotation of daven. What do you think of when you hear the word daven outside of the prayer?
Divine.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Very nice. Unfortunately, what many people think of when, at least for myself, I can say for myself, when you hear somebody say daven up, let's daven up, that means let's go through it quickly, let's zip through it, with very little understanding. Let's just daven through it. No, you've never heard this. Good. Let's leave this conversation. Let's leave this. But he said an interesting idea, and that I like this divine. That's very nice. That it comes from an Aramaic word, avuna, and it means the tefillos come from the avos. Tefillos, avos tiknum. The avos were misakin our tefillos, and we start off our tefillah with the bracha. The first bracha is the bracha of avos, and being married the schos avos. So de avuna means that which is to our fathers, and so daven came from that word davuna. That's what he wanted to say. Okay, I don't know. it's true or not, but certainly we find when, even in the Torah already, when the Jewish people came to the Yam Suf, and they were being mispalel by the Yam Suf, the way Rashi brings them Chazal to describe what they were doing, it says Tafsu umnus avaisam. I believe that's the lashon. They took hold of the umnus, of the trade of their fathers, of their forefathers. The trade of their forefathers was tefillah, and when they were in a time of need and they called out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that was called Tafsu umnus avaisam. That was the heritage that the tool that their fathers handed down to them. That was their trade. And I think we can say that some of us that we know our bubbies and zadis, or the previous generations, that the way, the simplicity that they said Tehillim with, the emunah that they davened with, was from a different generation. Something that is from a different generation. That we could say Matzai Agia Masai L'Masai Avaisai, to daven and to be connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu like they were. So have that emunah. So the essential points of tefillah here. Okay. This is one sentence from the Chovos HaLevavos, which Rabbi Victor Miller breaks down into different components that are listed, that are in this sentence. The question is, why do we daven? What's the point of tefillah? Sheteda, it's worthy for you to know, my brother, the following: Ki kavanasenu atfila, our goals, what we hope to achieve in tefillah, eina ki'im, it all boils down to the following: Kloif hanefesh el ha'elikim, the longing of the soul to connect with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to speak to Him, to connect with Him. Ukniyasa lefanav, kniya, lashon hachna'ah, the humility before Him, before HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Im raimemusa levaira, with the soul being meraimim, exalting its Creator. V'shivcha, and praising, being mishabeach HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The shivcha, it's all going in lashon nekeva. Why lashon nekeva? I believe it's going back on the nefesh. The nefesh being mishabeach its bari. V'haida'asa lishmai, and it's thanking haidah and recognition of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashlachas kol yahaveh alav, and hashlachas kol yahaveh means tossing our entire burden on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Means unloading our woes and our worries and our sorrows on HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and realizing that yes, hishtadlus, we need to do hishtadlus, but we don't need to worry, because we have HaKadosh Baruch Hu to rely on, and we come and we recognize that hashlachas kol yavel alav, everything really, it's all up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, our success, and everything that we do, it's not because we're worried that we need for our success that it's up to us to achieve it. It's up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's our job to do hishtadlus, but we throw our burden entirely on HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that we have no need to worry at all, because we throw it on Him. We toss it onto Him. So these ideas, the Rabbi Victor Miller breaks down to 5 components, which really are one, and the 5 components, we just translated, are okay. Number 1, the yearning of the soul to speak to Hashem, to make contact with the soul of the universe, because Baruch Hu is the soul of the universe, from which the individual soul originated, and to feel his reality as much as is possible for one to feel in this life. In other words, what he's bringing out is this first idea, which is called Klaisa Nefesh El Halakim, that David HaMelech says, Kol sa nafshi, that my soul longs for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Where does this come from? This comes from because our nefesh, our neshama, is a chelek elikim imal. It really emanates from the neshama of the entire world, which is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay, the Rabbi used to say from the Mashkiach, that from his Mashkiach, from Rabbi Yerucham Lubavitch, that every Yid has one midah that's totally b'shleimus, that's something that he's born with, that he could use, that he could serve Hashem with that midah, and through that midah change and perfect his entire personality. But without going into so Rav Obo would say in Shmuzin many times that he has a theory where that comes from, that every Yid has one aspect of his personality that is so good. And he said because Kodesh Baruch Hu has many different midas, and the neshama of a Yid is a chelek elikim mimal. The neshama of a Yid has its shayresh in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in the Shechina. And in which midah, he would say, you have to know al pi Kabbalah, that the neshama of a Yid has its root in one midah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in one facet, so to speak, of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's anhaga, and in that sense, that's where we're most connected and most perfect. But at any rate, our every neshama longs to closeness to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The second idea is, and that we come to through tefillah, where the tefillah is the time to focus that on our connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The second, I remember once there's a certain maybe one of the rabbeim in the yeshiva in Arizona, Baltimore, Rabbi Mintz, Moshe Mintz, tzaddik, and so I was speaking to him once about davening along Shemon Esrei. Maybe when I was younger, I would daven along with Shemon Esrei, and the question was, I was learning about Mishnah Berurah, and it's not so simple in halacha to daven along Shemon Esrei, and you miss out on the kedusha and different parts of the davening, and maybe it's not worthwhile. So that was the question I was approaching him with, like, is it wrong for me to daven as long Shemon Esrei? And he said to me that if you feel this is your connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so then it's worthwhile. If that's what it is, that this is your time with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and you're connecting and you're speaking to Him, and this is your steiging and growing in your kesher with the Eibishter, so then it's worthwhile. Okay, the second one is the effort to gain more awareness of our insignificance. This is called, and our need to His favor and to gain more fear of Him. This is the humility. This is the kniyah, the hachna. And when we stand, one of the main attitudes that we want to invest in the tefillah is the hachna. That we come to before Kodesh Baruch Hu, that we're not like rich people, that we have so much success, so much accomplishment, so much to rely on in terms of like security. No, it's hachna. We are a nivra, and we're standing in front of the Barei Olam, and the world's a part of a mere creature, a creation standing in front of his creator is a humility. And the second now the third objective is similar, and that's the recognition of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's greatness. And that means that with our hachna, with our realizing of our own instability, of our own lack, our own need for support from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and our own lack of greatness, that we're just a creation, comes standing in front of the greatness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The entire world, universe speaks to HaKadosh Baruch Hu's greatness. And when we daven, we're focusing on that greatness that's pronounced by the entire world. The fourth one is what he calls the double Shivcha v'Aidasa l'Shmai, the Shevach and l'Aidah. That's the praise and the thanks of Hashem's kindly deeds and attributes. Okay, and the fifth one. Okay, that's Haidah. Okay, Haidah and Shevach, the Kodesh Baruch Hu, thanking maybe most of Psukkah Zimra and many of the brachas are focusing on the Shevach v'Haidah aspect of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It could be that this is part of what the Ramban refers to when the Ramban says that the entire creation, the purpose of the entire creation, is for us to come to Shul and to say in Barabim, the Briyai Secha Anachnu, recognizing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created us and everything HaKadosh Baruch Hu does in the world. And the fifth one is to cast one's burdens on Hashem. That means, number one, how do we do that? We request all of our needs from Him. That's all about kashas. That everything that we're asking from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem, please heal, please give, please this and this and this. That's our way of showing, of expressing all of our burdens are in the hands of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And number two, to gain the awareness that all our affairs are in His hands, and that He is interested in our affairs and conduct them for our benefit. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is involved in our life and is interested in our success and wants to help us and wants it to come out for our best, for the best, has our best interest in mind. And sometimes much more than what we are aware of what's good for us, because Baruch Hu knows what's really good for us. Okay, so ultimately we're gonna, Bez Hashem, come to a deeper awareness of the tefillah, of where this is all leading to, and hopefully we'll go in detail to some of the tefillahs to deepen our appreciation for them.